Katherine. Hello and welcome to my channel Soberton Makery. I hope you're all really well and welcome back if you are one of my lovely subscribers. It's lovely to have you here as always, and welcome to my channel if you're new, and you are very welcome here to hear all about sewing and all things to do with stitching. Right, so today it's been a little while since I've done a video. My last video was the Sew Up Cycle 22 challenge video, which I recorded absolutely ages ago, and normally I try and get my videos up on Saturday, but life has been slightly chaotic recently. So yesterday we had our little boy Sebastian's birthday party. He had nearly 30 of his little friends from school, and we had a magician's party. So yeah, last week was just sort of busy prepping for that. My lovely wife Kirsty has been ridiculously organised as always and did so much planning for it, which all paid off because it was a brilliant time and Sebastian absolutely loved it. But yeah, so last week was just a little bit manic. So yeah, sort of sewing has been put on the back burner a bit, but I thought I'd come on today quickly, record a video, and I'm going to get it uploaded tonight so that yeah, you get your sewing goodness from me this week. So yeah, let me start off with what I am wearing. Now this is a dress that I've literally just got back out and put back in my wardrobe, because we don't have enough room in our house to have all our summer and winter clothes in the wardrobe and chest of drawers at the same time. So we do this thing, I'm sure lots of other people do this too, where we bag up our clothes that we're not wearing that season, put them under our bed and vacuum pack them so they're hidden away, and then we rotate them depending on the season. So yeah, last weekend I got all my winter clothes back out, and this dress I actually made, I think it was in April, and it was when I had COVID, and actually I had a really lovely time. I had hardly any symptoms. I was very lucky. I mean, some people I know have been a lot less fortunate. I was actually really quite well, had a sniffy nose and just had to stay out of people's way. Yeah, I had a week to myself. I was quite lucky, very lucky indeed. So yeah, I had a week or so and I made this dress, but it was in April, and then the weather changed and all of a sudden we weren't in the time of year to be wearing lovely needlecord dresses. So yeah, this is the Bakerloo blouse. I'll try and stand up so you can see it a little bit. Give it a bit of a twirl and look at the back. But what I'll do is insert some pictures. But yeah, this is the Bakerloo blouse and dress. I made the dress version. Can't remember what adjustments I made because I made this before I had my little sewing log book where you write everything down, and I've completely forgotten. I think I did a narrow shoulder adjustment. I think I took it a centimetre off the shoulders. The sleeves I think I kept the same. Might have taken an inch out of the length. I think I took an inch out of the length on the bodice. I think the skirt is the right length that it is on the pattern, and the collar, oh sorry, must talk about the collar. I took, I think, an inch off the width, so it's not as wide as on the pattern. Yeah, I think I took about an inch off this part of the pattern all the way round, because I knew that, because I'm not that wide here, I didn't want the collar to be ridiculously far out. So yeah, and I'm really pleased with the size that it is. So yeah, I think I took an inch off all the way around. What else was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, so yesterday I wore this to Sebastian's birthday party, and I had so many compliments. It was really nice. Oh, hold on a minute. Hello.
Mama?
Yes, my darling. Right, sorry about that. A little interruption from a 5, nearly 6-year-old. Right, where was I? I was talking about the collar. Yeah, I was at Sebastian's birthday party, and I had so many compliments, and it just about my dress at the party, and I was so happy. I think there's something about when you make your own clothes, lots of you might agree with me on this, that when you make your own clothes and you make them to fit you, you make them in the colours that you love, you make them in the fabric that you love, there's just something that gives you that confidence. And then yeah, I just had so many compliments. It's really lovely. They're like, oh, I love your dress. I was like, I made it. No, what? So yeah, I'm going to hopefully try and get lots of people in the village sewing as well, because they were just like, what, you can make your own clothes? I was like, yes, you can. So yeah, anyway, but what I was going to talk about was when I was walking, we had to go and park the car. So where we had the party was on the high street, and you can't park your car there for more than 2 hours, and we knew that we'd be there probably for about 3 hours, like setting up the party, and then after the party as well, tidying up. So I went and parked the car in the car park a bit further away, and I was walking down the hill and it was a bit windy, and my dress kept doing this as I was walking along. So one hazard of the Bakerloo, don't wear it in wind when it goes like this over your face. It did make me giggle though. And my Sebastian thought it was hilarious too. But anyway, right, less about what I'm wearing. What's this video about? So So today I thought I would do a little video introducing about how I got into sewing, my sort of sewing adventures that I've had, and then I'm also going to answer some questions as well that I had on my little Q&A, and there are a couple of, there's a couple of sewing ones and then there's one really funny one. Right, so let me get started. So I was very lucky and I grew up with my wonderful mummy, who is ridiculously good at dressmaking. She is so good, she made her own wedding dress. I mean, she's fabulous. She's amazing. So my mum, I think, passed this down genetically to me. And also, I think, what's the word? When you're surrounded by it. It's an influence on you. So yeah, I absolutely wanted to get sewing. And I remember the first thing that I sewed, I think I was about 7. It was before we moved house, so I'm sure I was about 7. And I hand quilted a little blanket for my dolls. And I remember mum teaching me how to do this. So I would sewed all these little squares together, and then we put it onto a piece of wadding, and then we sewed on some backing, and yeah, it was this little quilted blanket. It was only probably about this big, and yeah, that was the first thing that I remember sewing. But sadly I can't find it. I'm not sure where it is. If I ever do find it, I will show you all. My mum, love her, has searched high and low in their house to see if she could find it, and she can't find it. But she did find something that I made a bit later on in my life, which is through the same vein, which was this quilted pillow. And I made this with lots of bits of fabric that we had from when we were growing up. So I think my sister's got some cushions in this. This was definitely some curtain fabric. I'm sure that was my sister's, or maybe in the spare room. I can't remember when we grew up. And then there's some other bits. This bit of fabric, I can't remember what that was for, but there were definitely some pillows made of this somewhere. And this one, I think, was used to cover, I'm sure my sister had a sofa covered in this fabric. So yeah, anyway, but it was along the same veins of, yeah, a quilted little blanket, but I thought I'd show you the quilted pillow as well that I made. So yeah, that was where I started sewing. And then as I grew up, I did sort of various things. I did some cross stitch, and at school we did some sewing, and when we were at college we did some sewing as well. And I was really lucky. I went to Norland College to train to be a nanny, and yeah, one of the best experiences I've ever had, and I was very, very lucky to go there. Yeah, we had creative options as one of the parts of our learning, and yeah, I was really lucky. I won the creative options prize, and we had to make all sorts of things. Like we had dressing up costumes. We had to make a quillo, which is like a pillow and a quilt together. So you have one rectangle and then you have a little rectangle, and you would sew the little rectangle to the big rectangle. And it's normally made out of fleece and some kind of cotton, and then you fold it up and it can be a pillow, and then you can unfold it and it's like a quilt, and you can tuck your feet into the little rectangle, which is like the bit that it becomes the pillow. So yeah, I made those at college, and then when I was in my first job as a nanny for a wonderful family who I'm ridiculously still close to, and they're all towering above me, they're all really tall. There are 3 wonderful children, James, Olivia and Lucy, and their wonderful mum and dad, Claire and Pete. And when I was working for them, Claire was lovely. She would always let me sew some bits for the girls. To be honest, I didn't sew very much for James. Sorry, James. But I made Olivia and Lucy little night dresses, and what else did I make for them? Oh, I remember I made a little, I don't know if you know about when babies, they often go to bed and they go wear a little sleeping bag, like a little zipped sleeping bag. And so I made a little sleeping bag for Olivia's dollies. Yeah, there's lots of things that I would used to sew, and yeah, I used to do that. And then when did I get into dressmaking? So I think I didn't get into dressmaking until it was just before we had Sebastian. So I'm saying 2015. And I remember I went to a shop in Salisbury called Franklin's, and I went shopping with my mum, and I did the classic thing of, I was like, right, I want to get into dressmaking, so I'll buy some fabric. And I straight away bought some quilting fabric. Which is obviously the wrong thing to do. I'm sure it was a quilting weight. It might not have been quilting fabric, but it was definitely quilting weight fabric. And I think Mum was very sensible. She obviously guided me roughly towards this. I think I picked it, but I think she didn't suggest that I went away from it, even though it probably wasn't maybe the best fabric for the top. It was probably the best fabric to learn to sew with when it comes to dressmaking. So I made, I haven't got it anymore, sadly, because I don't wear it. It was in like a grey colour with sort of ivory coloured petals. And I did like it a lot, and I really enjoyed sewing, and I felt I learnt lots. I made this top here, which I think I made, I think I made version B, that one there. And it's the New Look 6483. And it's a very simple, it even says it's a 1 hour easy. And I made this little top, which has got darts in, and it had a facing, and then it had a little thread loop at the back and a button. And yeah, I made this top, and you know what, it was a really nice sew, and I must actually revisit this pattern because it did fit quite nicely. But that was my first make in this in the quilting cotton, and yeah, sadly I don't have the top anymore. I think I sent it to charity because I wasn't wearing it, and I thought somebody else might wear it. It just wasn't really my colour, my style. And equally, I think the fabric choice was not perfect. It would have been nicer in a cotton lawn or maybe a viscose. So yeah, that was the first thing I made. And then once I'd got a bit hooked into dressmaking, that was sort of my first foray, is that the right word? Into dressmaking. And then I don't know how I discovered them, whether it was on YouTube or just by Googling sewing patterns, but I found out about Sew Over It. And as soon as I found out about Sew Over It and Least Comfort, the whole sewing world just emerged. I think then I started discovering things on YouTube, and then eventually got onto Instagram, but that was a bit later. And yeah, that was, the world had opened for my sewing eyes. But what I did is the first top I made from Sew Over It was this top, which is the, oh no, now I can't remember what it's called. Oh, what's it called? Just say it's something like the Eloise blouse, but I'm not sure that's right. I will find it out and write it down. You don't want to waste time watching me going, oh, I can't remember what it is. But yeah, it was this blouse I made, and I made it out of this gorgeous Liberty cotton lawn that my sister Lucy bought me. Thank you, Lucy. She bought this for me. Yeah, that must have been back in 2015, maybe 2000, early. Yeah, I'd say maybe 2000. Yeah, must have been early. Yeah, in 2015. I'm sure that's when I started getting hooked. And yeah, she bought me this lovely Liberty cotton lawn, and I made this blouse, and I do really like this blouse. I didn't do the collar too well. I feel like this could have been better, but seeing as this is my second garment I've made, I was quite pleased with it, and quite pleased with the older stripe matching on the sides. Not bad. Yeah, and it's a lovely blouse to wear because obviously Liberty cotton lawn is absolutely gorgeous, and I must get this out and wear it more because it's really, really lovely. It's got some great colours in it. This lovely pinky purpley colour that I love, and then it's got black in it, which is quite handy, and then the blue for like wearing with denim jeans. And yeah, I really like this blouse. So yeah, that was the second thing I made. And then once I got sort of hooked onto sewing, I thought, right, I want to really dedicate more time to this. So before Sebastian was born, I was working in Kew as a nanny for the family that I'm actually still with now. And in Richmond there was a college, and they did an evening class, and I think it was something like 7 till 9, something like that, a couple of hours once a week for a few months. And I then made this dress, which I made to wear at my best friend's wedding, Hannah. And yeah, I made this dress, and it is, oh, I can't remember, it's a Butterick dress. I'll put the pattern name below. And yeah, it's a fully lined dress, like you can see the lining in there, and it has an invisible zipper, has bust darts and waist darts. I had to do some adjustments, and there was a brilliant teacher there. She taught us lots of things. We did a toile for the dress. She taught us how to measure the patterns because obviously the big four, they don't always have the finished garment measurements on them. And she taught us how to measure the pattern to our measurements. She was fantastic. I can't remember her name, but she was lovely, and she was really, really good. She knew exactly what she would do. But yeah, I absolutely love this dress. It's a little bit snug on me now. It's a bit of a squeeze to wear. But yeah, I'll try and find some pictures, because I wore it to, my best friend Hannah's wedding. And I wore it with one of those big poofy skirts underneath the, what are they called? They're like, oh, they're wearing them under vintage dresses, you know, like the tutus. But yeah, I absolutely love this dress, and yeah, it's got this lovely sort of scoop back detail. So yeah, so then I was completely hooked on sewing, and yeah, slowly sort of got into sewing more and more, and discovering more of the sewing companies and the patterns, and yeah, just becoming addicted to YouTube, and then learning what other people have made. And yeah, I think then the world just opened wide. And now, yeah, as you know, I love sewing even more. But right, so there you go. That's a little introduction to how I got into sewing. I hope that's clear enough. But if there are any other questions that you've got, please do ask down below, because I'd love to answer them. But yeah, let's get on to the question and answers. So I've written them down here. I've only got a few, but I will go through them now. So the first one is from Ruth, and her question was, how has your sewing developed or changed since you first started? So I think I've answered this a little bit. I think my sewing has changed in the respect that I understand fabrics a lot better. So I know which patterns to match to fabrics much better than I did at the start, going back to the quilting cotton. And I think I'm much better at picking patterns that I know will suit me in what I want to wear day to day, and that will fit and suit my body shape. Yeah, I think that's definitely how my sewing has changed. And it's also changed with time, like as I've got older and my life has changed. Now we've got Sebastian, my sewing has changed because I make things for him. I sew quite a lot of jersey things for him, which obviously I didn't sew when I first started sewing. And I think as your life changes, you sort of adapt to what you need and what you want to sew. So yeah, I should have mentioned earlier though, I used to make a lot of things for home. Like I used to, and I still do. I've made blinds and curtains, and I quite like making towels with letters on, like letter names. I've often made things as presents for children. I think last year I did book pillows for all the children that I look after. So yeah, I think your sewing adapts, doesn't it, to what you're doing at that time and sort of where your life is. So yeah, I think that's how my sewing has changed. I'm now doing things more specifically for dressmaking for me now and for my family, whereas it used to be a lot of crafty things and things for the home. So yeah, I think that's how my sewing has changed. Right. Next one is from Jeni. Hello Jeni, if you're watching. And this is Jeni has her lovely channel, One Girl and Her Machines, and if you don't know her already, please go and check her out. She is wonderful. So her question is, what is your favourite fabric to sew with? Now initially I straight away went, oh, it's got to be a viscose. But then I thought, actually, I'm going to answer this in two different ways. I think my favourite fabric to wear is a viscose, but I think my favourite fabric to sew is probably jersey. I absolutely love sewing jersey. I think it's the speed of the makes and the comfort when you get to wear them. Yeah, I just love sewing jersey. It's so quick, and now you can get Mariflex thread. I mean, the world has changed completely. Yeah, I absolutely love sewing jersey, so that'd be my favourite. So let me know what your favourite fabrics to sew with are, especially Jeni. Next question is from Sew Lucy Sew. Hello Lucy, if you're watching, and she asked, what was your very first make? Garment? And I think I answered that. So my first garment make was that New Look top. So yeah, that's where it all began. So yeah, Lucy, that was my first make. And then I've got Annette who asked, what is your job and do you wear me-mades for work? So as I previously mentioned, I am a nanny. Yeah, I'm a Norland nanny. I'll see if I can find a picture of me in my uniform. I'm very lucky. It's a privilege to do this job. Exhausting and wonderful in equal measure. Yeah, no, I am very, very lucky. And the children I look after now are much older. I've had them since they were babies. I've only actually had two families. So my last family I previously mentioned, and yeah, I absolutely adore them. And then my current family, I have a wonderful children that I look after. Yeah, I've got two girls and then a boy as well, and they are slightly older now. So yeah, they're all at school. So in the day it's quite quiet, and then in holidays it's quite busy. And actually they're on half term next week and the week after. They've got 2 weeks, lucky things. So yeah, I'll be quite busy, and yeah, it might be difficult for me to squeeze a video in next week, but I'll see what I can do. But yeah, so I do wear my me-mades for work, and actually one of the girls, she's so lovely. Sometimes I go into work and I'll be wearing a t-shirt or a jumper or a skirt or a dress, and yeah, something that I've made, and she'll go, Katherine, did you make that? And then I'll be like, yeah, and she'll be like, yes. She gets so excited when she knows that I've made it. It's really sweet, and that she's guessed it. Maybe my me-mades have a certain look, I don't know. But yeah, so I do wear them for work, and being a nanny, I am generally running around looking after children or cooking or doing activities. So yeah, I don't really wear lots of pretty things to work. I sometimes wear dresses, but they are things that I know I can wash, and yeah, I don't mind if they get a little bit dirty. So yeah, I generally do, most of my wardrobe I'm trying to get towards me-made, so I do wear them most of the time. But yeah, so I wear, yeah, I wear my clothes pretty much all the time. But yeah, I'm trying to think specifically. But yeah, I wear jeans, t-shirts, tops, dresses, skirts. Yeah, I'll wear anything that's sort of practical and what I know I'm doing that day with the children. Yeah, as you well know, you have to plan your wardrobe around what your life is. But yeah, I do wear my maids to work. Yeah, and then the last question is from the lovely Ruan. You can always get a laugh out of Ruan. She's hilarious. And Ruan says, what's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done? And the most embarrassing thing, well, I'm sure I've done quite a lot of embarrassing things because I'm really clumsy. But the most embarrassing thing I'm going to go back to was when I was about 10 and we went on a school trip to Tenby in Wales. And I remember I was walking along the street, chatting away to my friends, and I can't remember what I was talking about, but I do remember suddenly that I hit something very hard, full on, and I'd walked into a lamppost. I remember it still to this day, and I was very embarrassed because all my friends saw, and loads of people at school that weren't necessarily my friends but people that knew me saw. Yeah, I walked full on straight into a lamppost. So yeah, I think that's my most embarrassing story, and if I had it on video I would show you because it must have looked hilarious. But yeah, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed that and I hope you like that, Ruan. But anyway, they are my questions and answers. If you've got any more, pop them down below and I'll answer them. But I hope you've enjoyed learning all about how I got into sewing and getting to know me a little bit more. And yeah, it was lovely to see you all again, and I hope you're all really well. And I hope you've got some sewing done, more than me, because I've done hardly any this week or this week and a bit. But tomorrow I'm going to do some sewing and I'm very excited about it, and I will fill you in on it very, very soon. But anyway, lots of love, my darlings, and happy sewing, and I will be back with you soon.